Hi, everyone. Dr. Frankie here, and happy to be here with you all. Woo, there's a lot going on in the world right now. As many of you know, I have family, my dad, an extended family that lives in Tel Aviv in Israel, and they're going back and forth with Iran right now, missiles and all this craziness. And across the country this last weekend were the No Kings protests and just so much confusion, pain, suffering, sadness, like tension all around us. And I just, I hope I'm just sending out love and good vibes to everybody. And I hope that we just get through this as quickly as possible. And I hold the hope. Sometimes I need folks in my life to maintain the hope in moments when I feel like mine is dwindling and keep lifting up each other and maintain positivity and just love at the end of the day, love and kindness. And even if we have differences in the way that we think about it or approach it and all of that stuff, to just be respectful of one another and know that there's not one way to go about doing things. But I think what we can all agree with right now is that there's so much suffering and confusion and misinformation. Oh my goodness. I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm busy all day long doing what I love, which is supporting my clients, my followers, my subscribers, being here with you, supporting you in any way that I like, how I can best serve in all the knowledge that I've acquired through my own life experiences, through my years of education, from my years of experiential learning in the office, decades. And it's hard to decipher what's real news, fake news, distorted news. It's hard to trust media sources right now. And it's a lot of confusion. And I have trouble finding the time to figure all of that out. And I also feel like there's so much negativity. So, because I'm a psychologist and I'm a healer, I need to be careful how much of that I take in outside of work because much of what folks are coming into my office with today are just so much grief and sadness and fear for what the future holds and fear for, the here and now. And I'm like a sponge, right? If I don't take good care of myself, I just absorb all this. Then I leave work and I'm trying to figure out, I want to stay abreast of what's going on in the world. But then it's hard to know what's misinformation, distorted information, true information. It's a whole other job to figure all that out. So I've got to sort of protect myself by having good boundaries. So I hope folks are really figuring out how to thrive in this environment, how to maintain their sanity, their groundedness, and that's through having good boundaries, making choices for yourself that help you to maintain your sanity. So incredibly important while also being knowledgeable and aware about like what is happening in the world and being honest with yourself about when you have to put limits on how much exposure you're taking in. So really, right as I jump on today, oftentimes I want to impart and share like what's coming up for me in my life and so you get a sense of me on a more personal level outside of all of the videos that I shoot on really really important information that we can tools and information that we can apply to our lives to have healthier, more successful relationships, but also jumping on and just spontaneously saying what's real for me and what's coming up. And that's it right now. So, really, I want to send love to you all. I thank you for subscribing to my channel. I thank you for being here. And I look forward to many more years together. And just take really good care of yourself right now. We need to. We need to surround ourselves by people that are positive, that support us, that understand that maybe we may have differences in the way that we think about things. And that doesn't mean that we have to reject one another because of it, because we're not always going to agree about every single aspect. And the world right now is designed for polarization to get us to disagree and to divide us. It's really what it's feeling like to me. So stay strong. And I send my love to all of you. And I'm grateful for every moment I get to be here with you. So, let's just jump into my topic for today. What to do about conflicts over housework and domestic labor. This comes up so much in my practice with couples that have been together for years. It comes up with people who are, just beginning, they're moved in together, they're beginning a life together. It's something that sort of is like just part of it. So I thought, let's just cover this today and see if folks really any of it resonates for you. If you know somebody who's experiencing some challenges around it, please share my content with them. It might be helpful. And just know that it's very normal. Distributing domestic labor fairly is frequently one of the major points of conflict for anyone who lives together, whether that's roommates, family members, or romantic partners. When this kind of conflict comes up between romantic partners, it can be really extra, like extra fraught, right? More so than with roommates. Any underlying concerns around your relationship, how much your feelings and desires matter to your partner, or other conflicts can get mapped onto tension over housework in a way that escalates friction in your relationship overall. So, how do you stop this cycle? Today, I'm going to share some things that I want you to consider and I recommend. Why you're having disagreements about housework and domestic labor. There are plenty of understandable good faith reasons why you might be struggling to distribute housework equitably between the two of you. Maybe one of you works much longer hours, or one of you lives with a disability or a chronic illness that limits your energy or ability to perform physical labor. Maybe one of you is living with depression or another mental illness that really limits your executive functioning. These are all real challenges and often not possible to just get over and should be handled delicately and with compassion and grace while navigating questions about the distribution of housework. However, there are also other very common reasons why housework is such a fraught topic for so many couples because it often taps into gendered expectations of who should have to take on this kind of labor and how important this kind of gendered labor really is. And because it often follows existing fraught lines within a relationship of one partner being taken for granted. Why it hasn't worked to set up a system. Often, a first thing that couples or partners try when it comes to making housework more equitable is to institute a more formal system. That could look like a chore chart or a rotation of tasks or assigning different areas to different members of the household. And often, couples find that this doesn't work as well as they had hoped, or even exacerbates arguments because now you're fighting both about the chores and the chart. A chore chart or a new system assumes that the core of the issues is that there isn't clear enough distribution of tasks or clarity about whose turn it is to do what. In fact, the core issues are often different altogether. Two partners may have completely different ideas about what successfully completing a housework task looks like or how to prioritize it, even. Imagine that you and your partner switch off on the task of doing the dishes, for example, every other day. But when you do the dishes, you load, run, and empty the dishwasher while also doing all the hand washing in the sink and putting away when dry. When it's your partner's turn, they just load the dishwasher and do only enough hand washing to fill up the dish rack, leaving the dishes in the sink and in the machine. Or they skip their day entirely because they had a long day at work. The chores chart can help surface some of these issues, but may not actually solve them. The role of mental load. One thing that confused discussions about housework is the distinction between the domestic labor itself and the mental load. Often, the partner who's historically less involved in housework will say something like, "I'm happy to help. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'm happy to do it." This can be really frustrating for a response from somebody hearing while it is ostensibly offers help for physical domestic labor, it still evades any responsibility for mental load. The constant labor of keeping track of and managing household needs and tasks or knowing what to do. Mental load can include planning meals and grocery lists, maintaining household supplies, cleaning chemicals, appliances, keeping track of pet needs, walking schedule, medications, feeding times, remembering when something is running out, expiring, or needs to be replaced, keeping a running list of what needs to be done around the house, reminding others in the house to do their share of chores and following up on them, anticipating and planning future household needs like a big grocery shop before hosting a party, organizing the household schedule and planning domestic labor around it, managing finances, bills, and household budget, researching options and strategies for household tasks, making decisions around household needs, from what kind of vacuum to buy to what chores need to be done. An example that just came up last week with a couple that I work with, they have young babies, and the diaper bag. One person in the relationship's like, why am I always the one that has to figure out what has to be replaced in the diaper bag? If we need to go, out somewhere on the weekend, I'm expected to automatically on default do that. I'm the diaper bag person. So there's this like lack of feeling of equitability, but also this load, right? Like the feeling that there's one person who has to track all these things. In a professional context, we generally understand that a manager is a job within itself that requires skill and time. It's not equitable in a domestic context for someone to take on all the manager duties and split the actual labor 50-50. How to approach future conversations about housework. In any conflict or fraught topic in your relationship, it's useful to show up with an attitude of compassionate curiosity. The goal is to try, before all else, to genuinely understand where your partner's coming from and how they feel, rather than trying to convince them to feel otherwise or prove your point. And while most conflicts don't have an objective right or wrong, it is important in conversations about housework to enter into them with a willingness to recognize that there is, in fact, inherent value and significance to domestic labor. Trying to dismiss the gravity of your partner's frustration or hurt around housework by arguing that they should care less or that it's only a subjective preference will likely be really unhelpful. There's a reason why arguments over housework are a leading factor in divorce. Even if it doesn't matter to you personally, it does matter to your relationship. Other options to try. Sometimes, even with the best of effort and intention, it's really difficult to get on the same page about housework. When you live together with your partner, the home and the tasks associated with it are a constant issue that surrounds you at all times. It's tough to get a break from the topic or cool down from conflict about it. If you're having trouble moving through discussions on this topic, I'm going to share a few things to try out to lessen the pressure or make resolution easier. Sleeping in separate bedrooms can sometimes sound like a precursor to a breakup or an admission your relationship isn't going well. But for many couples, it helps make their relationship healthier, happier, and more secure. If you and your partner are dealing with different expectations about what makes a space clean or desirable to spend time in, having separate bedrooms might let you both enjoy having at least one space you can keep exactly the way you like it. Tools like Fair Play can help give you some structure and accountability for figuring out concrete solutions around housework and sharing domestic labor more equitably. If it's affordable for your household, choosing to pay for some degree of outside professional labor, like a house cleaner, can lower some of the stakes of conflicts about housework and domestic labor. If the person who feels less invested in housework or has historically done less of it wants to pay the greater share for the professional help, so much the better. Great. The idea is to try to get to a place where there's less escalation, activation. You want to reduce tension around this stuff. The house chores are never going away, and it will never be perfectly even. And we've got to be careful that we're not keeping score, keeping track, because that doesn't feel good either. So I think it's really about communicating, taking some of these suggestions that I've made today and applying them, practice, see how it feels. And I promise you, if you both have the intention to get to a place of resolution and you're curious about how each of you feels and you're both feeling seen and heard, you're going to get to a better place. It's inevitable. So please share as you apply these tools. Let us know how it's working out for you. And I will see you all next week. And for those of you that have not subscribed to my channel, please do. Click that little bell below. All right, everyone. Kisses, hugs. I'll see you next time.